Statistics and what they don't want to include sometimes. This will be looking up sources for the 1920 to 2020 Wikipedia list of mass shootings in the United States, 100 years of mass shootings. I can't do the entire page simply because of the way it's organized. It's like trying to find um, the average number of most common uh, cartridge diameters or bullet diameters that are primarily or dominantly used or existent, whether they're existent now or obsolete. You can't use these databases very easily, so I went to the data sources as well, but this is a partial list. Some of the pages are better than others, for instance, the ones that break it down by year. The definition for a mass shooting that is used has shifted over the years to make more shootings retroactively considered mass shootings. Sometimes this is a good idea, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's politically motivated, sometimes it's just to get more data. But here's the basic parameters for this discussion. 3 or more persons hit with a bullet in one incident in a public place at one location at roughly the same time. This does not include shootings over a 20-year period of time, and it excludes certain things that are reasonable and other things that don't seem reasonable. Ignoring any profit-motivated criminal activity by gangs, drug wars, any organized crime for some reason. This has to be, specifically, this would then be a Wikipedia list of mass shootings done by usually 1 or 2 people. There's no real definition in here, but 1 or 2 people shooting 3 or more other people. Usually it's one person. The most common shooting incident is actually a lone wolf incident, according to the idea of a mass shooting. And it doesn't go without saying, but it usually presumes no connection to the shooter. The shooter is shooting strangers without reason, or shooting a class of people. Now, this isn't explicitly stated in the listing, and it's sometimes not valid. Workplace shootings are listed in some of these. That means the person knows everybody, usually. And it, besides ignoring organized crime, gang crime, drug war crime, drive-bys, it includes them sometimes, depending on the source. Some include civilians that are shot by police as well, which means the perpetrator didn't shoot them. That was interesting. Some of them ignore any wounded survivor at all and just count deaths. Some don't require that anybody die. Some obviously note the number of individuals endangered, which would be a useful statistic to you and me, but most don't. In fact, only one of them did, so I can't even include the data because it's a very narrow study. 4 of them are from the following sources: Stanford University MSA Data Project, the Mass Shooting Tracker, Vox, the Gun Violence Archive. These include 0 death shootings where no one actually died, but they list the wounded number, which makes sense. I mean, it's an attempted mass shooting, but then again, this could be a shot fired at and hitting several people, which we've actually seen a couple of. 5 sources: Mother Jones, which will be specified, Washington Post, ABC News, FBI, and the Congressional Research Service. These exclude 0 death shootings by definition. Again, that seems like a bad idea, but then again, it seems like a useful idea for statistics. Because of this, the Wikipedia article mixes them together for each year. I'm going to specify the year 2020 up to October, which is the last time it was updated. We'll do the Mother Jones database first. It goes from 1982 to 2020. Out of 119 occurrences it has defined as a mass shooting in a period of almost 40 years. It's 38 years there? Yeah, I hope I'm doing my math right, sorry. But anyway, out of 119 mass shootings from 1982 to the year 2020, and presumably October as well, 80 involved legal weapon usage. 17 involved illegal weapons. That's, and the rest of them are unknown or unnoted. The majority of them involve using a legally obtained weapon. that, and I would like to include here, that would not violate background checks or time delays, cool off periods, or anything. In fact, most of these cases are private sales and that sort of thing. Now, if you want to make a bunch of rules to make it to where a person can't acquire a gun, okay, it doesn't address, this isn't addressing the mental health issues the person had, because the database citing here is incredibly difficult to sift through, almost purposely. Out of the 119 mass shootings Mother Jones database lists, 92 or 77% involved handguns or revolvers. They can involve shotguns or rifles or other, but 77% of them involved a handgun of some kind, revolver, handgun, whatever. Any weapon that is held by one hand and is concealable. Rifles were used in 40% of the cases, or 47 occurrences. In 27 occurrences, shotguns were used, around 22%. Now, these numbers are rounded off and also overlapping because a fairly good number of these individuals carried two of these items or all three. The rifles, out of the rifles listed, 51% were listed as no type listed at all. Didn't mention the make, model, brand. Didn't mention with the rifle being semi-automatic or manual loading, bolt action. Didn't list anything. 27% of the rifles, remember the rifles accounted for less than 40% of the actual incidents. 27% out of that bunch, or 13 incidents, were AK type rifles, which means Kalashnikov, Russian type weapons that are gas operated with a piston, that sort of thing. And then the ARs took up 21%. The vast majority of shootings involved handguns. In fact, some of them only involved handguns, or a weird mix of a rifle or a shotgun. Exclusively using rifles, I didn't calculate, but there are incidents like that. But the majority of these, absolute mind-smashing majority of them, involve handguns. And again, we're excluding every single drive-by and every other mass shooting incident that people don't want to put in the list because it has to do with some sort of profit motive or organized crime. Out of the 119 mass shootings that are listed here, 36 had 4 to 5 deaths, 19 had 6 to 9 deaths, 18 had just 3 deaths, bare minimum to call it a mass shooting. 14 had 10 to 17 deaths. 5 had 22 to 36 deaths. And only 2 had 49 or 58 deaths. 2 very infamous mass shootings, which skews the results all over the place. And as you might imagine, I didn't count the number of rifles used because panic would just blow the numbers up. It's an incident where someone had a very outlying capability. The majority of them involve 4 to 5 deaths, being above the limit considered to be mass shootings originally before they changed it to 3 or more. Locations these happened. This is very critically important to a lot of people, so we'll do this quickly. Out of 119 mass shootings Mother Jones database includes, 48 were at other locations. That means other than what we're listing here. Schools were 15 occurrences. Work occurrences were 38. 6 were at a church, 6 were at a military location. What that means is that 48 out of them, the majority, were locations other than a school shooting or a work incident where someone went postal. But below that, the most likely place to get shot is work, not school. The Wikipedia 2020 list of firearm-related violence occurrences from beginning of 2020 to October, last update. 2,695 people were shot. 84% survived. 16% died. That's 433 people dead in a year. But 2,262 were shot and made it. And a vast majority of people who were fired upon were missed. Now, in this period of a year, it is listing, by these criteria, 538 mass shootings. 53%, or 288, had nobody die. There were injuries. 46% had deaths, or 250. 31% had, or 150 had a single person dying, even though they list that you're supposed to list the number. Well, it's the number of people hit. The number of people who died is 1. 3 or more were hit. Okay? And that's just going on with the rest of it. 12%, or 62, had 2 people die out of the 3 or more shot. Less than 1% had 5 deaths, 7 deaths, or 6 deaths in the year 2020. Those are incidents of around, we're going to round that up to 10 incidents total. Had a large number of people die. The majority of them, the absolute majority, had nobody die or had 1 or 2 people die, which accounts for virtually all of them. Now, why did I do this video? I wanted to find the first incident of an AR-15 being used in a mass shooting and why this is a focal point. And I wanted to find a clear-cut database on this. And what I found were databases, if you're not aware of it, if you make an Excel spreadsheet, or if you make one prepared for the web, and you stick in GPS in full-length mode, taking up as much space as possible, and you include dozens of notes and URLs for everything within the database, within your data set, instead of getting to the point on your page about AR-15s being the cause of mass shootings. And I have to go through this much trouble to dig up the information. I'm going to review. These are all defined as excluding the perpetrator in the number of people killed. Most of them don't. A fairly good number of them, a little under half, don't require that anybody die. 3 or more shot, it used to be 4 or more, because there are lots of shootings where a person shoots somebody and shoots a couple of other people. They went out of their way to ignore the mind-smashingly large number of people who are shot by drug gangs, drug wars, organized crime, any profit-motivated things, including armed robberies that involved lots of shootings. They included civilians shot by police, which means the perpetrator might have shot nobody. There's a large number of them added in after the fact to make it to where there's a larger database. And some of them decided to ignore wounded survivors or count them as victims without mentioning that they were not dead. The definition of an incident at a public place most of the time is also ignored here as well sometimes. At a single location, roughly the same time is the one part that's useful, but 3 or more shot could include shooting at one person and hitting several other people, which a lot of you have seen in the news. Out of the 119 Mother Jones decided to work with over a 39-year period of time, and a bunch of you are going to scream that there's more than that every damn day for some reason. The majority of them involved legal weapons. The majority involved handguns and revolvers by a ridiculously large ratio. It might involve a mixture of rifles and shotguns, but all of them included pistols, handguns, revolvers, whatever you want to call them. The majority of them that they were willing to even try to list did not tell you whether it was an AK series, Kalashnikov series, or an AR, Armalite series, or a variant. For this being the focal point of things, when rifles are 40% of the involved shootings, but 77% are handguns. This is a little bit of a gloss over. And ignoring the fact that the majority of the time, no one dies. And the majority of the time, if you actually involve all the people who are in danger, the vast majority of people escape a mass shooting by running. The vast majority don't die. And the vast majority are being fired upon by someone who is absolutely going to have a pistol on them. And it doesn't help that a lot of this does not involve these things being spelled out directly. You can check my sources. I recommend you do so. I'm not even sure of them. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. I don't know what to make of this, and I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Good day.